Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today at the Entheos Academy for Optimal Living. My name is Matt Cook, and today we will be joined by Joelle Prochera for a great class on how to consciously create your life. Just a quick mini bio on Coach Joelle. So Coach Joelle Prochera is an authority on personal responsibility, self-empowerment, and joyfully and purposefully designing and living a life that you love. She's been a certified professional coach for 13 plus years. So why I'm excited about this class. Joelle was on our original academy with an 8-week course called Make Your Life. Plus she did an interview with Alexandra for her Rock Your Goddess Life program. We love Joelle's heart of service and actionable approach to all situations, as well as leading with generosity in all occasions. So, very excited to have Joelle on this class, and thank you so much for joining us. Let's jump right in.
Woo! Thank you, Matt. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. And I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be here with this message, and I'm excited to be here with this message at this time in my personal journey. So, I'm just going to jump right in, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's the deal. Everybody out there, I want you to know that you were born to live a life of meaning, purpose, and joy. Just let that sink in. That is why you're here. That is your birthright. That's what this journey is supposed to be about. Meaning, purpose, and joy. Now, some of you hear that and you go, sweet, sign me up. I love that. How can I learn more? Others of you might be discouraged by that message because that may not be how you experience life. That's okay. Wherever you are, whether you're on a path of joy already or you're a long way from it, you are in the exact perfect spot. Because today we're going to be talking about how you can consciously create your life. And this is a very specific distinction, okay? Here's what it looks like. To consciously create your life is to actively pursue your heartfelt longings. So we all have these desires in us, and they're not just whimsical. They're the ones that never go away. We are hungry for them. They have been with us for, some of us, forever. But these heartfelt desires, so the active pursuit of our heartfelt desires while operating inside the order of the universe. Now, here's the thing. When I say that, it's a very specific way of creating, and it's not the only way to create. I've been in the past, and I'm sure you've had this experience as well, where I've set a goal, where I've made a plan, and I've just gone and done it. And sometimes I had to struggle through it, and I had to push through it, and I had to suffer through it, but I could get there. And we're all very capable of just muscling it out and getting wherever we think we want to go. But often that journey is one of A, suffering, pain, no fun, and B, once we get to that place we thought we wanted to go, it's often no more fun than that crummy journey we've just been on. Consciously creating your life is, again, from joyfully pursuing the heartfelt desires inside the order of the universe, which means that we get to do it without the struggle. We get to do it from a place of alignment and ease and joy and fun, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, some of you are part of my community and have received the newsletter I sent out recently about my cloudy afternoon of the soul. So just for those of you who are new to me, I've been talking about making your life or consciously creating your life for a long time. It's nothing new, but something shifted. And it shifted very recently when I went through a period of about 18 months where it really is like life took me by the lapels and said, Joelle, you need to let go of what you think you know so you can become who you came here to be and learn what else there is to learn. And it was a really disorienting time, and during that time I've spoken to so many people that have been through that process as well, where often there's a series of events that just kind of push you and jar you and make you pay attention in a different way. And for me, it really looked like stepping back from a lot of the work I was doing to study, to introspect, to explore. And as I was just emerging on the other side, it was so exciting that I got the call from Entheos saying, Joelle, what are your 10 big ideas and will you teach a course on it? And when I sat down to write these 10 big ideas, I wasn't sure what was going to come out. I thought maybe I would take the Make Your Life program and the 7 steps and expand it to 10 big ideas. But when I sat down, I realized that something had shifted in me, and the message was, even though it included what I've done in the past, it was so much bigger. Which brings us to our first big idea. But before we get there, I want to set an intention. Anybody that's out there, whether you're watching this later on or you're here live with me right now, I invite you to bring intention to our time together. So instead of listening halfway while doing the dishes or answering emails, this is an opportunity for you to really make a significant shift in your life, to move things forward, to find more peace or joy right here in this hour. So I'm going to invite every one of us to just stop and create an intention for this time together. So I'm gonna start, and you in your own world can create it as well. So I'm here bringing everything that I am and everything that I know in service of your lives, in service of a joyful time together in this hour, and so that you can consciously create your life, you can have more joy, peace, happiness, and that you can live inside of the order of the universe and experience the true joy of what that looks like. And I add you to add any other intention that you want for this time. And I'm going to add my attention and intention to that as well. All right, which brings us to our first big idea, which is about the biggest idea I could think of. There is order in the universe. Okay, that's a big idea. So what this means is that you can trust life. All of existence is here in support of your life journey. It's a wild declaration. I've been exploring down this path for a long time, and like I said, this 18 months of journey really brought me to a new understanding of this. So let me share a little bit about what this looks like. We've all witnessed the order. We've all seen those times where life just comes together in these magical moments. And I've often called it serendipities, or the magic of life. Those moments where you think of someone and they call, or the perfect opportunity crosses your path at the perfect time. So I want each of you just to think for a moment about sometime in your life where you've seen this order at work, where life just seemed to line up and you had this inkling, or you knew for certain that it wasn't just an accident. And Matt, I would love to hear while everybody's thinking through that. Anything come to mind for you?
Yeah, immediately. For me, it was dropping my entire life in Wisconsin, moving to Los Angeles, and the very first night that I was in Los Angeles, I got a phone call from Entheos to come work with us in San Diego. Entirely life-changing.
Wow. I didn't know that part of your story. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Much like Matt shared, I had a similar experience in terms of moving, where it was 1999. I'm reading a book on my couch in Winnipeg, Manitoba. The idea of moving had never crossed my mind before. And someone in the book packed up all their belongings and moved to Africa to do some sort of mission work or something. And I put down my book and I just had this thought, could I pack up my life and move somewhere crazy? First time I thought of it. And the answer was yes. 3 hours later, I had a knock on my door from a neighbor showing me a job description. They said, hey, can you do this job? I'm like, absolutely, I can do this job. It was exactly the work I was doing. It just happened to be in the Cayman Islands. And I applied for that job, and I got offered that job, and through a series of other circumstances, I ended up in Arizona instead of the Cayman Islands. But just that moment that I had the idea of moving, and here's the opportunity to move, and that opportunity set into motion what had to happen for me to move 6 months later. 6 months later, I was living in the States with a visa and living in the desert, which I'd never even visited before this opportunity had come. Just another quick example is, and many of you have heard this before as well, but it's one of my favorite stories, is when I wrote out the multi-page description of the man I was going to marry, how he'd make me feel, how he'd treat my family, and I set a timeline. I said 12 months to this day. Here's the day when I expect him to have shown up by then. My husband showed up on that day, he says that's very much like him to show up right at the end. So he showed up on that day quoting things out of the document that I had written. Okay, so some of these moments of the magic of life are really profound, and some are just really silly. Like one day I had 3 instances of hot dog eating contest references happen in about 90 minutes, you know, in the comfort of my home. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means, but it means something. It means that there is a magic to life. All right, so you go, all right, so that's fine. We can all relate to that magic moment story. Why is this such a big deal that there's order to life? Why am I coming out with this now when I apparently had an inkling of it all along? Here's the difference. Before, I would sit there and I would watch my life and I'd try and do it right, and maybe if I was lucky, I would see those moments of magic that would give me that little bit of reassurance. Joelle, it's okay, there's something out there. You're right, there's something else out there. But after this journey, over the last 18 months, it shifted to being, instead of it being out there, the magic being out there, the magic is now here. It's like I really get that all of everything is connected, and that all of everything is part of all of everything else, which means that it went from the world being out there and almost being this thing I had to fight against, to the world being on my team. And if it's on my team, it means it's on your team. So this is what I'd like you to consider. There is order means that the entire universe is on your team. It is designed to grow you, to show you your way to your destiny, to help you to live this life of meaning and passion and joy. So what that means is that person that cut you off in traffic, that was a gift for you to grow you. The client that you got, that was a gift for you. The client you didn't get, that was a gift for you too, because that's not your client. All of it has order. And for me, there's just something so peaceful and supportive about knowing that. It makes everything a learning experience, and it really means that life isn't being done to me, it's being done for me. So I just invite you to consider that. Whatever's happening in your life right now, even if it doesn't feel comfortable or fun, or maybe if it's downright upsetting, consider this idea that it's not being done to you, it is being done for you. And we've seen so much evidence that, you know, some of the greatest hardships people experience later on in life, they look back and they go, that was the moment I came to attention. That was the moment I got conscious and started taking charge of my life. That was the moment that I knew my health and my life had to be a priority. You know, I think I look at something as innocent as losing my finger, 10 years old, stuck my hand in a table saw. Don't try this at home, kids. Certainly traumatic for my parents. I don't know what the story was for them, but for me, this is a huge character builder, right? And I can do these great nose-picking jokes. We're not going to get into that. Say that for another day. But it gave me a sense of humor. It gave me a whole bunch of things to overcome. It impacted who I am, and I wouldn't change it for anything. So whatever's happening right now, it's a gift. You may not see it now. It may take some time to recognize that gift. But there is order, and life is being done for you, not to you. With that being said, our next big idea is you are exactly where you need to be, and you are right on time. Just feel that. You are exactly where you need to be, and you are right on time. So I'm just curious. So Matt, you're doing a lot of nodding, which I love, seeing you nodding. So when you hear that statement, what does that mean for you and your life to know or to hear that idea? You're exactly where you need to be and you're right on time.
It gives me the sense of I can relax a little bit, knowing that everything that's happening in life is exactly as you just said, similar to the first big idea, that it's there for a reason, and that it's all just unfolding as my journey moves on. It's great.
Beautiful. And that's exactly it. That idea, it holds us. So there are people listening and watching right now that you think your ship has sailed. You missed that big opportunity. You're too old. You know, you're not old enough, whatever. And I'm here to say, no, you are right where you need to be. And even if the perfect opportunity presented itself and you were too afraid to take it, and then something similar offered itself again and you still weren't ready, don't worry. I'm not saying don't take the opportunity. I'm saying don't think that you just missed out. You are on a trajectory to experience certain things in this life. And if that experience is really supposed to be part of your life, and you'll know it is because you really, really want it, then there will be another time and you will have learned from those missed opportunities what you need to learn to take the next one. So if life feels difficult and challenging, this too is God. If you're feeling sort of stuck because you keep trying stuff and things aren't moving forward, consider that it is perfect. And here's just a great example. I remember when I was working for Manpower in Arizona. I'd made this move, and I had discovered coaching, and I decided I wanted to become a coach, and I got trained, and then I was going to go and start my own coaching business. But I was from Canada, so I was working on a visa. So the plan was get the company to get me a green card, and I'd work with them for a while, then I'd go start a full-time coaching practice as opposed to running branches like I was doing. But the US government didn't want to give me a green card. So, my company spent $10,000, $15,000 trying to get this green card. It never happened. And every time I'd get the no, I'd cry and I'd be like, why can't I live the life I want to live? But if I had this information, right, if I'd just known that this is perfect, I'm right on time, I'm exactly where I need to be, I would have stopped crying and looked for the opportunity that was staring me in the face. And what I ended up doing was saying, all right, if I can't just go start my own business, I'm going to ask Manpower if they'll let me sell coaching and coach for them. So, and they did, and that was a growth opportunity, and I became a bigger, better person from that experience. But what it did for me was it gave me the opportunity to start my career under an international brand, Fortune 500 international brand with a paycheck. And when I finally did have the capacity to leave, they sent all my clients with me because they didn't have other coaches. So I just look at, if I had got things my way, the way I thought things should have gone, I don't know if I would have eaten for those first couple of years. But because there was a bigger plan at play, it was perfect. It was perfect than I ever could have imagined. So I just invite you to look for yourself. And when I tell these stories, people have their own moments where it's like, oh yeah, I remember when that didn't work out, but it was because this even better thing was waiting for me. So whatever's going on, just know that, well, here's what I would offer as a practice. Right now, just ask yourself, if I am really exactly where I need to be and I'm right on time, feel the peace that Matt experienced from that. Okay, so if that's true, what's next? What's the next step? And to take that next step from peace and openness is very different than taking that next step from, I'm a big loser, or life never works for me, or whatever else, right? Okay. Number 3, create space for conscious living. Conscious living requires that you be conscious. And so many people in our society today, especially Western society, the entire world as it's industrialized, we are so busy. I look at people in corporate environments that are expected to be answering emails at 1 o'clock in the morning because they should be up at 1 o'clock in the morning ready to receive an email. They are working so hard, and between family, their jobs, the technology, they don't even have time to breathe, much less stop and think about, what do I really want, or nurture themselves, or whatever else is required for them to consciously create their life. I had a client that when we first met, she felt that her work was killing her inside, and her brain was fuzzy. And when I asked her, okay, well, for starters, what was clear, she needed to sleep, because she wasn't sleeping. Well, she was sleeping some, but nowhere near enough. And she needed to exercise because she knew that made her feel good. And then I said, let's do that. And then just 1 hour a week for you to stop, to think, to explore. And she honestly said, I might be able to get the sleeping done. I'm not sure about the exercise, but there's no way I can find an hour for myself to think. And right there, that's the problem. If you're one of those people, I'm telling you, if you're suffering inside and you don't have any time to think, ding, 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 this is a wake-up call. There is always a way, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, or again, an hour a week, 15 minutes a week, to stop and consciously focus on what do I want, create goals, meditate, work out if that's what clears your head. Just sit and be quiet, because your soul can't speak to you if you aren't listening. And the way our world is set up right now, it's very, very easy not to listen, and it deadens us. It really has us on a trajectory that is it's uncomfortable, it's sad, and ultimately it can have a negative impact on our health. And it's just not what you're here to do. So trust, find a tiny space in your day or in your week to consciously make time for creating your life. And through that little space, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, you will start carving out more and more and more space until your entire life is pretty much of your own design. It's possible. All right, number 4, dare to dream. It's not the first time I've talked about dreaming, but it's so important. Whenever people talk about dreams, they tend to think that it's either selfish or frivolous. So first of all, let's talk about the frivolous piece. Dreaming is not frivolous. Everything that exists in our human world started as a dream. Mr. iPhone started as a dream. Someone had an idea. I'd like this wonderful piece of technology I can walk around with. Entheos started as a dream. It was an idea, right? Sorry, my brain went, but everything, like the lamp that I'm here, started as someone's idea. Airplanes, right? The Wright brothers had this idea, we want to fly, we want to fly. They created flying machines when everyone else said it couldn't be done. And I'm always astounded that today we have, 100,000-pound metal birds that fly through the air. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand how that happens. So if that dream can be real, why can't I just live a happy life? Why can't you live a life of meaning? As far as I'm concerned, our dreams are no crazier than the stuff that already exists. So dreaming is not frivolous. It is the beginning of all things. And in terms of it being selfish, I think Deepak Chopra said it beautifully in a recent meditation series he did with Oprah. He said that people think that their desires are unspiritual. But he said, to the contrary, our desires are seeds planted inside of us to lead us to our passion and our purpose. So desire, our dreaming, the big visions we have for our life, they're not selfish. They're part of this divine order. They're part of why you came here. And if you listen to them and you follow them, you not only get to live a great life, but you get to live a great life contributing what you were uniquely designed to contribute, which is, the greatest gift that you can give to the world. So I dare you to dream. I really do. I invite you to take time, maybe some of that conscious creation time that you set aside to dream. What do I really want for my life? Even if I don't know how to make it happen. Maybe that looks like creating the vision board or the reverse scrapbook, as I've got one here. It's just every page of a scrapbook has different aspects of the life I'm creating. Maybe it's goals or writing out a vivid vision of the life that you're creating. That's how I ultimately became a coach. I just wrote out a description of what a perfect life would look like. And I'm living it. And I'll tell you, when I wrote that description, it was crazy. Who's going to pay me to sit on the phone and talk about life? Really, and educate myself. How on earth do you survive doing that for a living? Well, if I could figure it out, and it wasn't a figuring out, it was really a joyful adventure. Whatever's in your heart that's going, please pay attention to me, listen to it. Because once you say yes, there will be a way. And the last thing I want to say on dreaming, once you write down the dream, it's okay if you don't know exactly how to make it happen. You don't have the full plan. And that often blocks us from even writing the dream down. Because, well, I really want this, but clearly these 17 things are a problem, so I probably shouldn't even want this. If you want it, you want it. Write it down and take one step. Take that first step. Because once you take that first step, then the 10, 20, 50 next steps open up. But not till you say you're really up for it, you care, and you take that step. All right? Number 5, embrace now, create the future. All right, so how does this look? This looks like, it's so easy to create this beautiful future and go, oh, when that happens, my life is going to be so good. But right now it really stinks. And I can't wait till that happens because then I'll be happy. It doesn't work that way for a number of reasons. At a very basic level, this is your life. This is your life. And that goal brings juice to your life. It brings direction to your life. But the power to create that goal is right here in this moment. I have a friend who just became a best-selling author. I just want you to think about this, because we all think that once we get there, we're going to be happy. But I have a friend who just became a best-selling author. So her entire life has built her up to this moment. The years she spent writing the book, the 6 months she put together the campaign, and then one day she's a best-selling author. And she did the happy dance in her office. And then she went over to her husband's office and she did the happy dance in her husband's office. She did the happy dance with her coach. And then she went and had some coffee and got back to work. And she has very intentionally set aside some special time to celebrate. But the joy of any accomplishment is only going to take up so much time. Think about the big things that you've achieved. Sure, it was great to reach the top of the mountain, but that is such a tiny part of your life, is those mountaintops that you reach. All of your life is here for you to live it. There is joy available right now, no matter what's going on. So the task at hand is to hold that beautiful vision and know that it's yours, because all of life is conspiring to that being yours, and love now. Just love now. As an action, I would invite you to just ask yourself, how can I love my life now? And just what the answer is. Whether it's spending more time being with inspired people, or going and doing some dancing, or having a happy latte if that makes you happy. But how can I have more joy now? Because this is it, right here. It's the journey. Number 6, your thoughts are creative. Please think responsibly. You've heard this from a million different teachers, and you're going to hear it from me because it matters. The power of our thoughts was one of the first ways that I was given access to that broader connection, the order of the universe. I remember being younger and hearing about the idea of positive thinking and stuff like that, but I was not buying it. How could what I think affect matter? Matter is real, and my thoughts are just thoughts. How could what I think affect the world of matter? But through coaching, I realized that there are some very specific tools that show you how your thoughts affect your life. And as a really straightforward example, if I'm a salesperson and I have the thought, I'm not good at selling, I hate selling, I'm a terrible salesperson, I think that all day, okay? That thought is going to make me feel bad, depressed, sad about my life. Then I go and try and be a salesperson. I take action from that sad, depressed place, and it's going to be, it's just going to be mediocre. I'm not going to take a lot of action because it's not going to matter anyway. And the result I'm going to just prove to myself I'm terrible at selling. Now, if I take that same person and we just shift their thoughts a little bit to something like this. Okay, I can see that I missed quota the last 17 months. And that I don't love that. However, I believe that with the right attention, practice, focus, and support, that maybe I can do this thing. Just even shifting to something is kind of a weak shift to the positive, but it's a shift to the positive, and suddenly that person is going to feel hope and perhaps optimism. And what are they going to do? They're going to learn. They're going to try. They're going to go out into the world with more brightness than that other person. And then they're going to produce a different result. They're going to move themselves along in their learning. They're going to sell more, and then they're going to make their next choice. But you can see how those two different thoughts take you in two totally different directions. So on a very practical level, it works, and on a metaphysical level, it works. Call it what you will, but I will tell you that through practice and through working with my clients, when you consciously be really responsible with your thoughts, life just gets better. You feel better and life gets better. And I also found that I saw more of those serendipities, synchronicities, that magic happening around me. So as an action, be responsible for your thoughts. Start noticing them. The ones that are really positive and life supporting, kudos, practice those. The ones that are taking you down that downward spiral, notice them. That's step one, is just notice them. If possible, stop them, and even better, find something else to think that heads you in that other direction. All right, number 7, take it. Are we really at number 7? Sweet. Okay, take inspired action. This is good. All right, take inspired action. I'm going to keep this succinct. Inspired action is action for its own sake. It's action that comes from inspiration. Inspired action is not manipulation or the stuff you think you have to do or you should do. It's like if you've got your goal and there's all these different paths, but all these ones here are like dark paths into a dark forest with signs that say danger, keep out. When you think about going down those paths, they just don't look like any fun at all. But over here, there's this path that's lit up and it's got a deer and it's got birds singing and the sun shining there. That's your path. Go dance and play your way to the result that you want. And I'm not kidding. Like, just as a simple example, I know that moving my body is going to help me have the physical fitness and the experience of my body that I want to have. And if someone gave me the P90X series or the Insanity workout and said, Joelle, this is the only way you could ever have the body you want, I'd be like, no, give me some chocolate. I don't want to. Don't want to. And that's just a sign that that's not my path. Now, throw me in a Zumba class, give me the outfit, give me some moves, and I am joyfully moving my way into the body that I want. And this is for anything. So I really, like I said, you're here to live a life of meaning, purpose, and joy. That means that the path to your destination, through your life experience, can be one of joy. So if you find that you are really suffering with something that's in front of you right now, stop and ask yourself, if I step back, is there a possibility that there's another way? Because I know this way may have worked for someone else, but it just may not be yours. And if you can find something that just feels like a yes, that your heart opens up and goes, now that looks like fun, or that I can do, that's a step in the right direction. All right, so action, if there's anything on your, that you feel like you have to do to achieve your goals or achieve your life mission, and it feels like pulling fingernails, pause and be open to the idea that there's another way and look for it. All right, number 8, access the truth within you. Just like I said, inside of this order, there is great wisdom in you. There's great wisdom in me, there's great wisdom in you, and we can access it by paying attention to it. Now, most of us try and solve problems with our brain. We try and think our way through things, but the deep wisdom we're talking about is not necessarily coming through the brain. The brain is designed for the most part to, keep us running and to keep us safe. And when it comes to deep wisdom, none of that is going to be considered deep wisdom. So here's just a practice for you to try. And I'll say that I took a course this past year called Body and Movement, where we did something called Primal Dance, and we accessed information through the chakras, and I was coached by a tree, and I'll tell you, the tree was really, really insightful. And really all that was doing was asking us to go out to nature and put the call out and see what came back. And it points to the wisdom that is in nature, which is in us, because we're nature too. So if you're ever struggling with a tough question, a question of direction, or should I do this or shouldn't I do this, one thing you can try is to ask a question from the neck down. So what this looks like is, instead of thinking out your answer and writing pros and cons, you ask the question, close your eyes, and allow your awareness to come into the center of you, to focus your thinking part, your focus, either in your chest or in the center of your body. And once you're there, just ask the question and listen. There'll be nothing for you to do. You don't have to think. You don't have to figure it out. You just have to listen. It might show up as a visual cue. It might show up as a person or actual words. But if you take on the practice of connecting to the wisdom within you, just by asking the question and answering from the neck down, just asking to that wise place that resides within you, you will be guided, and you will be guided in a true way that's true for you and your soul. So I'd love to play more with that, but I'll leave you to practice that on your own. So number 9 is a life of alignment. Once you know what's true for you, to consciously create, so that's to be doing this creation inside of the order of the universe, you want to honor what's true for you by doing what's true for you. You know, when I was in my early 20s, I learned that what's true for me is that doing shots of hard liquor is a really bad thing for my body and my brain and I mean all sorts of things. And so I stopped doing that. Today, you know, I know that even one glass of wine puts me at risk of not being entirely Joelle, not thinking all the thoughts that I would think right now with you, and not acting exactly the way I would right now where I totally trust myself. So if I'm going to have anything to drink, I really have to ask myself, can I continue to be me? And if not, then I'm not going to do it. Because that's what's true for me at this point in time, is I really have to be conscious because consciousness is priority for my life. And if I walk off that path, I will get redirected. So this is the thing with you and your truth. The more conscious you get, the more aligned you get, the more you'll notice that when you deviate, when you start heading off the path, you start lying a little bit or cheating a little bit or pushing a little bit. You can only go so far before you start getting seriously redirected. So I just invite you to honor your truth. It's a path of grace. It's a path of integrity. And it's the best way to move through the journey and achieve what you're here to achieve. Once you know it, follow it. Number 10. Woo! Oh my gosh, and we're even like on time. This is like magical. You guys, thanks for the energy. We are hitting it on time. Number 10. There is no competition for your destiny. Okay? There's no competition for your destiny. There is only one you. There has never been anyone else like you. And you came here to fulfill on the seeds of dreams and desires planted in your heart. The entire universe is here to support you fulfilling that role. You're not in competition with these other people for your life. There will never be anyone that can live you as well as you can live you. Just think about that. If there is anywhere where you feel like you need to compete or you need to manipulate, challenge that. Because it's really not necessary. It's not designed that way. And like I said, if you're walking a true path, the more you try those outdated modes of trying to get things done, the more likely you're going to get redirected, and sometimes not so gently. So as opposed to seeing the world as this competition, see it like a symphony. It's a symphony, and even though there may be 15 oboe players, nobody's going to play the oboe like you. You may have special notes that you're going to play. If you weren't there, the symphony would be different. If you weren't playing fully, the symphony would be different. The sound would be different. Everybody here needs you to just be the best you can be. We're not here to fight you. We're here to love you and enjoy what you create. So I just invite you to trust that the greatest gift you can give the rest of us is to follow your own truth and live your dreams and be the best you can be, the you that you were born to be. That's all that we ask. And you don't have to fight anybody to live that life. We're actually here to support you. And here's the thing is, even if you see something that looks like you're being fought, remember, there's order here. It's being done for you. So look and go, how is this a gift? And then choose from there. So those are my 10 big ideas on how to consciously create your life. Matt, I'd love to hear any questions you have. And if anyone out there has any questions, I'm here to answer.
Thank you, Joelle. Absolutely life-affirming concepts and distinctions. So thank you so much for that. Going back to big idea number 2, you are exactly where you need to be and you are right on time. What do you ask clients who are fighting against reality? As in, like, this situation is horrible and I have to make it stop. This isn't happening to me. All of that's scripting.
Yeah. Well, I would probably it's easier for me with a very specific example. But let's just say their boss is being really mean to them and they hate their job, and this isn't supposed to be happening. Well, the first thing that I would point to is that we always have choices, even when we don't feel like we do. That's the first thing. So if your life is becoming so unbearable, that might be a cue that it's time to make a move. And if it really isn't an opportunity to make a move, then chances are there is a new way of relating to it. Some of those thought tools, how you focus your thoughts, to find a new way of being with the situation. But usually, it's probably, and it's actually a combination of both. It's usually a combination of both. Sometimes it's really clear that it's a call to move on. And often, while you're in the process of moving on, it means how do you take this moment, embrace it for what it is, and be with it in a way that doesn't hurt or doesn't leave you so damaged or impacted. Because really, life happens around us, and it's how we relate to it, what we think about it, what we make it mean to us that makes it either hurt or joyful or nothing.
So it's the value that we're giving it that's creating any issues around it.
Yeah, ultimately, which is really hard to hear when you're really sure that your boss is the root of all your problems and is a real jerk and you have no choices. But ultimately, we have choices either in action or in how we think.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joelle. Emma asks, do you have any advice on how to deal with people who surround you? And she says, in my case, family, who think that my dreams are too big and unreachable. They support me no matter what I do, but they just think that my dream is too big and I will get disappointed.
Well, it's Emma. Emma, I'm just giving you a great big hug right now. Big hug. Here's the thing. So you're surrounded by family that don't understand you or believe in your dreams right now. They're allowed to have their own, that's their choice. You may not choose to be sharing those dreams with them. You may want to get involved with people that are going to support your dreams. There's all sorts of people out in the world having this conversation actively all the time that have really big dreams and are there supporting each other. And many of them can be found on the Oasis that Entheosis created if you're not familiar with it yet. But there's a community of people that are here. I just got chills, that are here supporting each other's dreams. So, in regards to your family, you may need to choose not to share too much of this with them right now until you're stronger and clearer and further along the journey. Because if you really feel this is important to you, there's a whole bunch of people that can love you, that want to love you through that and support you and will believe in you. I believe in you because you even had the courage to ask that question. So I hope that helps.
Absolutely. So empowering. And big hug to Evangeline, who seconds that question. So, so absolutely. Fantastic. Let's jump to another question in regards to your thoughts are creative. Please think responsibly. How can I begin to create thoughts in the direction that I want to more or less prime my brain for positive motion in my life?
You ask these great questions, Matt. Yeah. How can I? So one of the ways that you can do that, one of the exercises I have people do, is just to create a list of their dominant thoughts. Okay? So you start off by just writing out a list of your thoughts that you tend to think. Like I believe in myself. I think I'm a good person. I don't really believe I'm ever going to amount to much. I've never had much money. Whatever, right? So you write out your ideas about yourself and the world and the people that are close to you, those thoughts that matter to you, good and bad. And what I have people do is put beside them either an E or a C. An E is for expansive life-giving thoughts. The thought that the universe is unfolding for my highest good is a very expansive thought, versus a contracted thought like, I'm never going to amount to anything. And you can just see when I say I'm never going to amount to anything, there's an automatic contracting. Life is great. I'm never going to amount to anything, right? So labeling it as either expansive or a contracted thought. And once you've identified your expansive thoughts, transfer them onto another piece of paper and start practicing them. Practice those thoughts that are strong for you, that leave you feeling good and that are expansive. The more you can think about them, the more you actually just reprogram your brain and create a belief system that's really empowering. A long time ago, I got that I may live in a totally delusional world, but I will live in a really happy delusional world. It's just that's just the truth. I'm like, I'll be really happy and then I'll die and they'll go, she was totally delusional, but she was so happy. And then on the other side, you take your contracted thoughts and do that exercise I did with the sales guy. So it's just going, all right, if I have a belief that I'm never going to become anything, I can clearly see that that is leading me down a path that I don't want. So what's a thought that I can swallow, a thought that I can sort of believe that's slightly more expansive, like, I've done some good things in the past and maybe something good will happen in the future. You know, that's just a little bit in that direction. And then you can move it even further. You know, I think today I'm going to make something good of this day. Even that thought, it starts opening you up. And ideally, you get to a point where you have a list of really nice expansive thoughts that counter your contracted thoughts that, again, you practice. So you might go from, you know, I'm not good with money to I am responsible for my financial future and I'm totally going to rock it. And you start practicing that new thought and in time and by taking action from that thought, you actually will create that as your reality.
Thank you. That was a wallop of an answer. I loved it.
You get the full thing.
Absolutely. Thank you. As once again, profound service. So thank you. Create space for conscious living. So going back to that big idea, how do we find and create space in our lives? I know we started to talk about it within that big idea, but how do we take ownership of our lives and our schedules rather than just react to all the outside stimulus?
You know, one of the first, I mean, part of it is just making it a priority. And actually accountability is a powerful tool for that. As an example, again, with Entheos, we have this practice of creating disciplines. So the day that I started recording to a public forum that I was going to exercise for 30 minutes a day, meditate, etc., suddenly putting that out into the world and saying, you can count on me for this, made it really important. Suddenly, when I'm done at the end of my workday, instead of jumping on the couch, I go do Zumba for 30 minutes because there's no way I'm signing on in the morning and saying, oh, I didn't do it. So accountability, so having accountability partners, or again, like that sort of public forum, there's all sorts of ways you can do that. Putting it in your calendar, I think, is really key. If you had an important meeting with an important person in your life or in your business to do something or to drop your kids off somewhere, you're going to record it and you're going to honor it. You can give yourself 15 minutes of time. You can figure it out. Even if it's 3 months ahead, that you write down that hour right there, that's mine, and don't move it. So that's what I would do. Treat it like any other important thing in your life.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I think, as you said, the Oasis has been such an incredible container for that even going back earlier and talking about being inspired by other people and finding that our dreams are not too big and that everyone is excited to share all that and be able to create in the space. So absolutely. So going back to, let's see. There is order. So, very first big idea. How do we societally make the paradigm shift to seeing that, as you said, and this goes also going back, that it's all inside me and that I don't need to go outside myself and find, through consumer, products, happiness?
Matt, I'm going to ask you to break that down because I heard two ideas there. So is there another way you could ask it for me?
Yeah, so in society, there tends to be a push towards consuming and finding happiness by buying that pair of jeans. So how can we rather find that happiness is inside of us, and that being able to go out and create all of our dreams and all of that stuff is inside of us as well?
Well, I'll see what comes up. When you say that, the first thing that comes up for me is to actually start recording where your happiness is coming from. I'm a big fan of, so conscious creation, conscious living means to be aware. So I'm a big fan of creating logs where anything that you want to learn about, you start logging. So if you want to have a deeper understanding of where happiness comes from for you, start a log that says activity or experience, emotion, scale of 1 to 10. And start noticing, do you truly get happiness from buying new shoes? I actually know people that, my sister actually she has different colored outfits, and she loves getting like the new red hat that goes with the red shoes, that goes with the red, and it really is a joy for her because it's an act of self-love, really. It's like, I'm going to feel beautiful and I'm taking care of myself. That's not the only way that she can be happy, but that is a happy activity for her, right? So it's really looking at what really is making you happy. And if you find that you're doing all these things that should make you happy because society says so and you're not happy, then it's time to look in the mirror and look at what are the thoughts you're thinking, what are the beliefs you have about yourself. Do you believe that you're I always find it interesting when I run into people that don't think they're worthy of a good life, or worthy of being happy. So any of those types of thoughts, like I'm not a good person, I'm not lovable, those things are going to dampen our happiness, and that would be the next place I would go to look at if you notice that you really don't seem to have access to happiness from all the things that society says that you should have.
So I think as we move towards a close, one final question before your final thoughts. What are the top 2 things that you wish you knew before you began your journey into life coaching and all the work that you do know now?
Whoo, you are a good question asker, Matt. The one thing that I wish I knew that there was order before, because, and I know that there are people with certain faith systems. I've seen that peace in them because, they know that someone's got their back. And I really look at all the times I struggled and all the fear and all the burden, even being responsible for your life, but thinking it's you against the world. That's a lot. It's kind of heavy. And there's something for me, so peaceful and so obvious now that it's not about me. It's like, Joelle, take a load off. Dude, we got your back. Just keep following the path. Just keep being courageous and taking the next step and following your truth and following your joy. And this is like there's order. You know what I mean? I don't have an analogy for it. I would say this is like a game that's being set up for you, like this wonderful obstacle course that as you overcome the next one, this next piece of the adventure is set up for you. So for me, it's really that there is order because it allows us to take a breath and trust life. And here's the thing is that if we all trusted life, we would be so much kinder with each other. We would be so much gentler with ourselves. And I think we're heading in that direction. I actually can see that future where humans are living inside of a truth like this or something similar where they're playing their part in the symphony, and they know that by doing that everybody else will play their part, and together we will create something beautiful.
I think that's an incredible way to move towards a close, Joelle. But any final thoughts that come up for you, or any ways that we can reach out to you and find out more about your work?
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. And now I'm kind of moved. I'm like, ah. So here's what I want to say. So anyone that's listening, I really do believe this, and you have to touch in with yourself and see if it's your truth. We're all at different points in the journey, and it's okay if some of it resonated and some of it didn't. But just notice if anything I said felt good, and you're going, gosh, I wish that were true. Like that would be so nice if that was really the truth about life. I invite you to try that thought on for a while and see how it affects your life and affects your peace of mind. So just try it on. I believe in the dreams that you're holding right now. I really do believe that you're here to bring them into the world. So please do. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can. I have a Facebook page, Coach Joelle Prochera. Facebook page, Coach Joelle Prochera. You can email me, joelle@coachjoelle.com, if there are any questions that you have for me. And of course, if you're part of the Oasis, which Matt may talk a bit more about, I am on there as well, and very excited to actively support that community. So that's what I would say. I'm so interested in you being happy and fulfilled and having a life of meaning and joy. Actually, here's the last thing I'll say. I'll just say this, because I recently did an exercise. I'm always reading and growing, and I looked at, it was an idea of looking out to the end of your life. And at the end of my life, what I wanted to have accomplished was that the people closest to me had lived their dreams. So this is really my life path, is just to serve you being lit up. And any way I can do that, it's my favorite thing to do. So go make it happen.
Spine tingles and goosebumps all over. So thank you so much, Joelle. If you love this class, please make sure to check out Coach Joelle's original Academy class with us, an 8-week course called Make Your Life. Also, as she said, please connect with her through email, Facebook, and on the Oasis. Incredible way to, as she said, connect and hold each other. So thank you to the audience for taking this time. We encourage you to take a moment right now and think about your number one favorite big idea from today's class, but most importantly, how you can apply it to your life starting today. Thank you so much, Joelle, for sharing your wisdom.
Yeah, absolutely, my pleasure. Everybody have a beautiful day.
Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.